Så här. Nu ser ni den globala medeltemperaturen de senaste decennierna, eller alla decennier sedan 1881 till 1890.
Nej, jag ser inte det.
Nej. Ja, nu sharing. You are sharing another application window. Stop sharing.
Ja, jag ser min skärm.
Jag ser också.
Pia, du gick ju in på din speciallänk. Om du går tillbaka så går du in på den ursprungliga länken då.
Ja, men då kan det funka. Jag gör det.
Ja, hej då. Hej alla som har lyckats komma in.
Hej.
God fortsättning.
Detsamma.
Hur går det, Toja?
Jo då, vi är på Facebook nu så att kör på du bara.
Okej, då kör vi inte stop sharing här utan nu fortsätter jag. Ja, du ser hur många som har kommit in, det gör inte jag. Och ni ser mig eller? Ni ser i alla fall mina bilder, det är det viktiga. Jag vill börja med den här bilden som egentligen inte har direkt med mitt innehåll att göra. Och nu har den behagat att byta bild också, eller byta färg. Det ska givetvis vara en röd stapel. Vi vet nu att det senaste, the last decade, 2011 until 2020 has been the hottest decade so far ever measured. So on account of that, I would like to speak to you about a new paradigm on electric power. It's a new way of understanding the product electricity, and I ask you then to keep your minds wide open. I'm well aware of that this way of looking at electricity is a different way, very different way than the traditional. So keep your minds open.
Förlåt Per.
So, ja.
Kan du gå in på helskärmsläge på din presentation?
Ja, det har jag redan.
Ja, vi har de här dina anteckningar på vänstersidan så att säga, eller dina bilder.
Ja, jag har bara helskärmsläge här, så jag ser inga. Jag börjar om tycker jag. Stop sharing. Select PowerPoint slideshow. Nu har jag bara helskärmsläge. Funkar det nu?
Perfekt.
Okay. So the so-called bathtub model showing us that we have fossil energy, nuclear energy, hydropower and wind power. Is this a correct representation of the Nordic power system? Well, first of all, we are now happy to introduce solar power, but the main thing is that this bathtub model is outdated, it's incorrect, it's plain wrong, it's been wrong for over 100 years, and I will now explain why. First of all, about keeping your minds open is to listen to what Mark Twain once said. What gets us into trouble is not what we don't know, it's what we know for sure that just ain't so. So here I am at a bank. This is a very old picture, you will notice. And I deposit 500 crowns. And then I rush out the door. Just outside the door, there is a bankomat, an ATM. And I withdraw the 500 crowns I just deposited. And it's the exact same 500. I had 2,700 crowns on my account and I added 500 and then I deducted 500. So this 500 crowns that I hold in my hand now is the exact same 500 crowns, but it is not the same bill. I rushed out the door. There is no chance in that very warm place below us that the lady would have had time to rush out and be faster than me and plant that banknote inside the ATM. Now, this is very easy to understand that I do have the same 500 crowns there, but it is an abstraction. It's a very light, a very easy abstraction. we have accepted this abstraction since hundreds of years, I would say, to understand that the banknote is anonymous and interchangeable. So inside this ATM machine, we have this stack of bills. We have this 500 crown notes. They are hidden, but we do know that there is a stack of bills there. And Toya, if you and I meet at the bankomat at, let's say, Ekerö Centrum, I'm sure they have a bankomat there, do they? Toya?
Yes.
Okay, they have a bankomat. You and I meet there. And I say, you go ahead after you, and you deduct 500 crowns. You withdraw 500 crowns. That's your money. You will then take the top banknote, the banknote at the top of the stack. But instead, if you say that I should go before you, I would get the exact same banknote, and then suddenly that same banknote would be my money. This is not hard at all to understand. It's an abstraction, but we have accepted this abstraction. It's so easy, but it's also very important to make it clear that it is an abstraction, that the same banknote can be either your money, Toya, or it can be my money. Banknotes are anonymous and interchangeable. Your money and mine never mix. I can never go to a bankomat and take out your money, Toya, and you can never go to a bankomat and take out my money. But we might get the same banknote. So there is a parallelity here between the bank grid and the power grid. The banknote is just an anonymous agent, and the kilowatt hour that we buy from a power company is also just an anonymous agent of what product we buy from that power company. So now, Toya, I'm sure you buy green power, don't you? Toya?
Yes, I unmute myself all the time.
Okay.
Yes, of course I buy.
Okay, great. But just for the sake of argument, let's say that you still have not made an active choice, that you're still buying power from, you know, Vattenfall or Fortum or some guy like that. So you get the black boiler. The electric kettle on the right side is your black kettle. And since I buy green power, I have this green electric kettle. And between you and me, we have this electric grid. And at the time t equals 0, just define a time, exactly at time t equals 0, you press your button and you start boiling your water. Then you boil your water with your electricity. You can't steal my electricity or someone else's. You get your electricity. And that electricity, in this case, since you were buying from a dirty company, it's black power, it's gray power. But if instead you waited half a second and you let me push my button exactly at the same time at t equals 0, time t equals 0, I pushed the button. I would have gotten the exact same power that you would have had. And this abstraction has proven to be much more difficult to understand than the abstraction with the banknotes. But it is exactly a parallel. We stand before the ATM. If you go before me, you get your money. But if I go before you, I get my money, but it's the same banknote. And the parallel here is that if you boil your water with your electricity at time t equals 0, or I boil my water with my electricity, it's going to be the same kilowatt hour. It's going to be the same product. It's going to be the same kilowatt hour. So there is a parallelity, an exact parallelity between the bank grid and the power grid. The banknote is anonymous and the kilowatt hour is anonymous. In the system where Sweden and all our electricity consumption is present, we are connected to some very dirty power producing countries. In Finland, we have lots of coal. In Russia and the Baltic states, we have lots of coal. Denmark still has some coal. Norway has some gas powered plants. So in this region, if we deduct all the green power sold as, you know, a better product, a better electricity, green power, you are left with something I call ugly power. And this is how ugly it is. People say, how can you get such bad, how can you get such a dirty product in the Nordic countries? Well, first of all, they say in Sweden, we don't have fossil power. Well, first of all, we do have fossil electricity in Sweden, but the main thing is that the market is all of these countries. So it's all the Baltic states. We're connected to Poland and Germany. We're connected to the Benelux countries and even England. And they do burn lots of coal in both Finland and the Baltic states. And if you don't want to have 48% of fossil electricity in your sockets, you simply don't buy it. If you don't want to withdraw drug money from that ATM machine, well, you simply don't sell any drugs. And if you don't want coal power in your sockets, you simply don't buy it. So kilowatt hours are anonymous and interchangeable. Your electricity and mine never mix. And it's not the laws of Ohm and Kirchhoff that rule the power market. It's the law of supply and demand. What the market wants, what the consumer wants, the market will supply. And it's not the currents of electrons that develop the energy system, it's the currents of money. So people then, oh, we have a doublet, we have a double here. So this is a brand new way of understanding the product electricity. The product electricity does not mix on the grid. I cannot take your electricity, you cannot take mine. And this is just an old misunderstanding of what the audited product electricity really is. It's a misunderstanding that goes back to the beginning of the 1900s, actually. So in this four square, we have on the left side, in the bank grid, we have banknotes and money. The banknotes, they are not audited and they do mix. The money is audited and hence it does not mix. So in this case, I can make a moral choice. I can decide whether I have drug money in my account or I do not have drug money in my account. And the same goes for my electricity. Do I want fossil electricity or do I not want fossil electricity? I have this choice. So this old picture of the bathtub is wrong. The power does not mix, it's the kilowatt hours that mix. And the new paradigm on electric power makes it possible to exclude coal power from our sockets. Du har valet, du har makten, välj bort kolkraft från kontakten. Or in English, coal kills and sends climate bills to our children. So what would happen then if everyone wants blue rubber boots or green power? Well, the market will supply what the customer wants and what the customer buys. You would never hear anyone say that there is not enough blue color or there is not enough rubber if everyone wants blue rubber boots. We simply know that the market economy works, and it works for blue rubber boots and it does work for green power. And actually, I would say it's a lot easier to supply the world with green power since we have so much solar energy. It's actually less than 2 hours time that we get for free, for total free, we get this enormous amount of clean and green and renewable solar energy that we know how to convert into green power. And we can actually de facto exclude coal power from our socket. coal kills and sends climate bills to our children. And the amount of solar radiation that we receive is 89 petawatt. And most people don't know peta, but it's in this case 89 with 15 zeros behind it. And as you know, prices of solar photovoltaic has been decreasing steadily, as have wind, and now also offshore wind has been declining. Prices for offshore wind, prices for batteries has been declining steadily. This is some numbers for the Tesla battery pack, but nota bene, batteries is not the only solution to the two things that we have to think about here. We need to have energy storage and we need to have power regulation. Batteries can do both, but batteries is not the only solution. So a parallel for energy storage is this picture of a bank. In the bank, you can store money, and in the hydropower dam, you can store energy so that you later on can produce electric power. And the guarantees of origin, they are stored in an audited account. And the energy that we can store or save is, for example, in hydropower dams, or we can store it in hydrogen, we can store it in batteries, in biogas, in solar fuels, and we can use fuel cells to produce the power when it is needed. And what we need is a stable supply of 50 hertz of electric power. And those 50 hertz to store, to know that we get them is the parallel to having all these bankomats, all these ATMs totally stacked with banknotes. So many banknotes that we know that we can allow large and sudden withdrawals everywhere, any time of day, 7 days a week. The kilowatt hours are mixed and the banknotes are mixed, and they are both anonymous and interchangeable. But my money and your money never mix, and that is a parallel to your electricity and my electricity. It never mixes. The kilowatt hour mixes. So how can we then save? Well, I have done a full alphabet, alpha to omega, a Greek alphabet. And as you can see, we have so many solutions. We have so many solutions that I fill the whole Greek alphabet with solutions. The only reason to fail will be public and political resistance to a sustainable development. We will only fail if we choose to fail. The last letter of the Greek alphabet is Om, and Om is the for electric resistance. So, Toya, I call on you again. You have been sent out to this little hellhole. It's called Drugsville. You're actually there to make a study for Stockholm University. Stockholm University wants you to make a control of solar irradiation. This is somewhere in the warm part of the world, lots of sunshine, and you're going to do a calculation of solar irradiation here in Drugsville, and you quickly learn that everyone sells drugs in this city. Everyone. They sell cocaine, heroin, LSD, PCP. They've got everything. The cashier at the bank, she asked you if you wanted some Coke, and she wasn't talking about Coca-Cola. The bank manager, he is known as the kingpin #1 in this city of sin and corruption. And Toya, here you go to withdraw your salary from Stockholm University. The 25th of January, you go there and take your salary out. You withdraw your money. So since this is the city of sin and corruption and everyone sells drugs, do you withdraw drug money from your account there? You might possibly get a banknote that has been part of a drug deal But no, you do not withdraw drug money from your account, because in your account, you only have clean money. It's impossible for you to withdraw drug money. That's the abstraction that we have accepted. So this foursquare tells us that we do have a moral choice, since the power does not mix on the grid. The power that I choose to buy does not mix on the grid. If I buy power from green company, I get that product electricity that this green company is supplying. Only, of course, if there is an audit made. And there is an audit made. We do audit the guarantees of origin. So this is the wrong picture. This is the old picture. We must understand now that this misunderstanding is in the way of a sustainable transformation of the power system. Coal kills and sends climate bills to our children. Du har valet, du har makten, välj bort kolkraft från kontakten. So, since I have learned that this abstraction is hard to understand, I do another explanation. You say that power does not mix, but I know for sure power mix on the grid. Well, listen up carefully then. When power is produced in Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and the Baltic states, it all goes to Nord Pool. Well, the guarantees of origin, they go to Nord Pool, where they are saved. You can't save electricity, but you can save guarantees of origin. So the audited product electricity does not mix because it is audited. There must be an audit, and the guarantees of origin are audited. The anonymous kilowatt hours, they are still mixing on the electric grid, but the product electricity does not mix. You do not create one guarantee of origin unless there is a consumption of that kilowatt hour. So 1 kilowatt hour must be consumed somewhere for a guarantee of origin to be created. And I call upon Mark Twain again. What gets us into trouble is not what we don't know, it's what we know for sure. It just ain't so. So the route of the product electricity is via Nord Pool. It goes into Nord Pool, and only when I consume my power at home, only then a guarantee of origin will be cancelled. The guarantee of origin will be cancelled from my account of guarantees of origin. So, nota bene, kilowatt hours are mixed, banknotes are mixed. They are both anonymous and interchangeable, but money is not mixed. I can choose not to have drug money in my account, and I can choose to not buy any coal power. We can de facto exclude coal power from our sockets. Coal kills and sends climate bills to our children. Since it's not the currents of electrons that develop the energy system, it is the currents of money, we can help to develop a sustainable power system just by choosing not to buy coal power, just by choosing not to buy dirty or ugly power. If you don't want drug money in your account, you simply don't sell drugs. If you don't want coal power in your sockets, you simply don't buy ugly power. You buy whatever green power you want. You can buy 100% solar energy if you like that, or you can buy bra miljöval el, as I do, good environmental choice electricity, that's what I buy. And we have this enormous amount of clean and green power, so we need not worry about that there wouldn't be enough of this green power. Now, since you have hopefully understood that you can make this choice, please help me. These official eco labels, they do not demand their licensees to buy green power. They allow them to buy coal power. You can have, for example, a hotel, an eco-labeled hotel that is run on coal power. I suggest, and I have been suggesting for many years, that these official eco-labels should demand that all their licensees buy green power. And I actually am asking for your help here. First of all, we need to understand that we can make this choice, and then we must tell all these official eco-labels that they can make this demand on their licensees, that the licensees have to buy not fossil power. They can choose if they want to have eco-energy, that's the one in the middle, or bra miljöval, the one on the left, or ökoström. Ökoström you find both in Germany and in Switzerland. And actually that is my conclusion, that coal kills and sends climate bills to our children, and we can choose not to buy coal power. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Per. Oh, do you hear the echo as well?
No, I don't hear echo.
Okay, I continue talking then. That was very clarifying and clever talk. I have a little issue with it, but not the issue of that, because of course we should all go for green power. I mean, renewables, it's crazy. Yes, it is. Ekar, yeah, yes. I'm just going to say this really quick with the echo. I was going to take a picture for this lecture, and I chose between plenty of solar-powered pictures. And there were the huge fields of just solar power stations, you know, or whatever it's called. And isn't it a little bit of a problem that we are always thinking about how to continue living in the same way as we do, and just exploiting in a new way with the nature, with all these solar power. I mean, we need to cut down on electricity. I'm sorry, I'm losing it because I hear the echo and it's very annoying.
Well, if we don't stop using fossil energy, we won't even have a chance to have a choice in the future. This has to be done now, and we are not overproducing solar power. We need more solar power. We need more wind power, because we have this enormous 60–70% of all power generation comes from fossil sources. That's an acute problem that has to be solved now. And of course, the less kilowatt hours that we do consume, the faster we will make the transition. But there is no gain in telling people that we should not build wind farms and we should not build solar farms. We need them. We need them acutely, because the fossil power production is the predominant in the world, and we need to get rid of that. And I don't think you can go out with the message to people that you shouldn't use any electricity at all. People simply won't buy that. They will not accept that.
Of course, of course. We have a question from Maria Johansson, and you could please unmute yourself, Maria. Hopefully it won't be an echo following you.
It was sort of already answered, but I wanted to know your opinion about hydrogen gas as an energy transmitter, whatever it's called. How much energy you lose in the process using that gas instead of electricity directly.
Yeah, you lose a lot, but it's only one of very many solutions. Let's see if I have my picture down here. Yep. So here are the possible energy storages, and I have hydrogen there as one of my solutions. We do lose a lot of energy. We create a lot of heat, actually, when we first convert the electricity into hydrogen, to hydrogen gas, and then convert the hydrogen gas in a fuel cell back to electricity. We lose, I think it's something like 80%, or at least 70-80% we lose. So this can only be used as a storage when we have plenty of green renewable energy, which we do if we build wind farms and if we build offshore, especially offshore wind farms, or if we can construct solar farms offshore also. We can put the solar panels on floating rafts out in the sea and actually get a better efficiency. So the whole thing depends on the fact that we have this totally gigantic free energy source called the sun. So we should not in this time say to people that you need to cut down. We should tell people start using green power. And then of course, we don't need that much power. We save lots and lots of energy just by going over to power instead of fuels. Because when we use fuels, we have a very inefficient turnover from fuel to the work that what we need to do. It's always done better with electricity.
Could you exit the full screen mode?
Yep. This one.
We would like to see everyone. Stop sharing screen.
Okay, stop sharing. Okay.
It was a nice picture, but we don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
We have Caroline Grace who wanted to say something.
Okay, is it working? Do you hear me? We also have an echo. All right.
I hear you.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. So you seem to have a lot of trust in the market, and I don't have a very strong background in that. But one thing I observe, and that's very intuitive as a consumer, is that people just go for the cheapest. You know, that's also a market mechanism. And I wonder how that works together with your theory, because you say we do have a choice, and I agree. And of course, I also buy green power. But I wonder how much subvention for engelska? Yeah, like how much of that is still going on? Like, is green energy also cheaper?
No, green energy is cheaper. We have been taught, I have been buying organic food. I think you do too. Mm-hmm. So we are used to the fact that if I buy organic, I have to pay more. That's our mindset, is that if I buy the green stuff, it has to be more expensive. When it comes to solar power and wind power, it's the other way around. It is cheaper to produce power from the sun than from nuclear sources or fossil sources. It's much more expensive to produce 1 kilowatt hour of nuclear power or 1 kilowatt hour of gas-fired or coal-powered or oil-powered. It is cheaper because the sun is free.
And is that also reflected in the marketplace price?
Yes, prices have been no, really. You look at your power price. The power has been, the price on Nord Pool has been going down. The more of the wind that enter Nord Pool, the more wind power that enters the market, the lower the prices. So that the people in the Nordic region buying their power from Nord Pool has been getting lower and lower power prices. That's the reason. That's the reason why Vattenfall is closing down Ringhals. As the power prices go down, the old nuclear power plants are being shut down. So when the green team, we are like on the green team here, when we say we should stop building wind farms, we're only helping the nuclear power reactors to stay in production, because the more wind and solar we add, the worse economy, the worse economics situation we create for old reactors. And there will not be built any new reactors. They are way, way too expensive. It's a triple cost. It costs three times as much to build new nuclear to produce power with compared to wind power generation.
Can everybody check their microphones, please? Because there are a few that I can't mute, but that has their microphones unmuted. Please check your microphone. So, Carl Stråle, would you like to say your question?
Hi. I was wondering, we heat up our houses with burned garbage. We are one of the world's best in burning our garbage and using that for heating. So we have invested a lot in the infrastructure of that, but we can't produce enough garbage to provide our heat. How should we change this system?
By buying green power. When you make combined heat and power, kraftvärme, CHP, combined heat and power, you can only make it bra miljöval if you follow the criteria of bra miljöval, good environmental choice. So actually, when we do burn something that has a good origin, like a renewable origin, we can produce from that combined heat and power plant, it can be labeled bra miljöval. So just by choosing, yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm in an apartment in a neighborhood that has fjärrvärme, then I can't choose the way of heating.
No, you can't choose your way of heating. The district heating is one of these monopolies that we live with. But you can choose your electricity. You can choose green power. And the more people that choose green power, the cleaner that garbage will be that they burn in that combined heat and power plant. As in Stockholm, everyone knows, or, well, I don't know. Many people did not know that in Stockholm we were burning like 300,000 tons of coal from Poland and Russia. And that was the district heating of millions of people in Stockholm. It was coal, burning coal. But now it's at least renewable. And added to that, they will now start what is called BECCS, bioenergy carbon capture storage. So they will have a carbon negative power plant, and that will definitely be green power. So when we buy bra miljöval electricity, we are, at least we are pushing in the right direction also for the heat production, because heat production, that's something totally different from power production.
So changing the garbage burning system is a political decision, while choosing good electricity is an individual decision.
Well, the politicians will have it easier to exclude the political power will have an easier task to ban fossil power if we are many consumers buying green power. If everyone buys electric cars, or more and more people buy electric cars, it's much easier for the politicians to say that we ban the sales of fossil cars.
Köhler, ville du säga någonting?
Jo, jag hade, hej, tack Per för seminariet. This is English, I guess. So thank you, Per, for the seminar. I actually had a lot of questions, and I posted 2 of them in the chat. I really like the overhead that you showed us with the different energy sources that we can use to store the energy, and I think this is a key to getting it to work. I mean, like that we in Sweden, that we try to increase the amount of energy that can be stored. And the biggest energy source that we have in Sweden where we can store is hydrogen power, I would think. So one question I have to you, Per, or to any person in the audience, it has been very critically viewed in Sweden that we should increase hydropower, because we have these, almost all big rivers have been touched, and there's only a few that haven't been touched so far. Is there any good argument that we can make and say we need to increase hydropower by 20% because we want to get rid of coal power?
No, I'm not making that argument. I have a very good story. Please, everyone listen now. I was the energy advisor of Swedish Society for Nature Conservation, and there was a green power company called Graninge. They don't exist anymore, but Graninge sold 100% bra miljöval power. So they had bra miljöval elektricitet, and they made good marketing on this. They had the right, they had the decision from some court that they could build a power dam, a hydropower station and a power dam in the Nätra river system. But to construct new hydropower is not admitted in bra miljöval. If you follow the criteria of good environmental choice electricity, you cannot exploit an untouched river. So if they did build that hydropower station, they would have to market something like, Graninge, we have 92.5% green power. And that's not good marketing. You need the 100% or you don't market it at all. So I was there at the meeting with the local Swedish Society for Nature Conservation in Sollefteå. They knew everything about the Nätra river system, and that the Swedish otter, that there is a Swedish otter population there, big enough to have a genetic modification, the gene pool of the Swedish otter in the Nätra river system is good enough to make it survive. If they would have built a hydropower dam there, they would have killed the Swedish otter. So Graninge, at the time, they decided not to exploit the Nätra river system. They did not build that hydropower station. Well, then you can argue, okay, so this was negative for the climate situation. Well, you can build other power, you can build power production from wind or from solar that does not harm the environment. The only harm the wind does is that people see the windmills, and some people can even hear the windmills. And then you have the NIMBY effect, and people get very angry with wind power, but the birds are not angry with wind power, and the deers are not angry with wind power. The nature is not angry with wind power. We help Mother Nature by building more wind farms. Let's build them out in the sea so that no one gets angry with them.
Shane, I think Shane wants to talk.
I have a reply to Maria.
Okay, Per, I just want to ask you one question because I have a neighbor whose son was working with these power issues, and what he was doing was that he's working for a company, and he said that actually we do have a lot of energy under our feet, and that means that it was, you know, taking the energy right into the earth. You dig down and getting a lot of, you know, because it is very hot and heat underneath. And he said that you can really use that kind of energy. Do you have any idea about it? Because I'm not very much acquainted with these issues.
Yes, we do have an enormous power source under our feet, but you have to go down like 4 or 5 kilometers down. It's called geothermal. So geothermal energy is one of the sustainable power sources. I think it's just too expensive at the moment because it's so cheap to build wind farms and solar farms. But yes, we can use geothermal energy, and that is not to be mixed with the heat. The heat that we can use for heat pumps, that's also solar energy. If we just drill down a few 100 meters, it's all solar energy. It's heated by the sun. But if you go down kilometers, 4 or 5 kilometers, then it's the geothermal energy coming from the magma inside the globe, inside the earth. So, Maria, reindeers do graze under wind power. I have pictures where reindeer actually eat from the concrete. They go to the wind power. The study made at SLU showed nothing. It showed that when wind mills were constructed, the reindeers took a different path when moving. There is no, the reindeers are not affected by the windmills, but the people living in the area, they are affected because they see the windmills, and if they go close enough, they will hear the windmills. But the reindeers are not threatened by wind power. The reindeers are threatened by climate change. We need to solve the acute climate crisis now.
Yes. Lotta Fredenfeldt, välkommen. Lotta, vill du säga?
No, Lotta says no mic.
Okay, what about power storage, vattenkraft?
Vattenkraft is one of the power storages that we have, and we can have so-called pumped hydro. Let's just say, I am saying bra miljöval, good environmental choice. That means no more exploitation of rivers. So we do not construct any new dams, no power dams. But we could pump into old mine holes, also gruvschakt, old openings and down in the ground. You can build a hydropower station there, and you can take power, produce power when the water is being poured into this old mine hole, gamla gruvhål. And then at night, when you have a power surplus, you can pump up the water again back to the storage. And this is now being done at Åland, so that they have a pumped hydro storage being built at Åland. We do have pumped hydro storage in Sweden already, some really old stations. we could open up old, in Juktan, they have actually destroyed the tube where the water was pumped up during night. That tube was filled with concrete. We could open that, for example. So, but it's also, pumped hydro is one form of storage. You can have any kind of gravitational storage. At night, when we have a power surplus, we have too much power at night, we can lift just about anything up to a height. And then by letting it fall down, we can create power. In the morning, we need lots of power. When everyone is turning their kettles on, everyone is turning their coffee machines on, the industry is lighting up everything. So we have a peak power need in the morning between 6 and 7, approximately between 6 and 7. And then we could let that weight, if it's water or it can be steel or concrete or whatever, if we let that fall, we can produce power in the morning when we need it.
We have a comment on that from Stefan Köhler. I just read it up. It's very common in the South Germany to use night power excess, but that is not a huge effect.
In the south of Germany, there is actually now a wind-powered pumped hydro storage. So there is one small dam, it's only 5 windmills, but they have a dam of water around them, and they can actually pump water inside the tower of the windmill. And they do that during the night, and then they just let the water run out, and it runs into the nearby river. I don't Münster, I think this was in Münster in southern Germany. It's only 36 megawatt. The hydropower generator is only 36 megawatt. But we could build places, we could build stuff like that in Sweden.
So maybe it will be the last question for today. It's Erik Huss who would like to have a word.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Per, for a brilliant talk. I always learn something when talking to you and listening to you. So I thought of this, in many countries, they have a lot of subsidies for installing solar power on the private houses and buildings. I just had a talk this morning of a woman from Switzerland, and it's really cheap to install solar power. But in Sweden, it's still very expensive. So it's only the rich who can install solar power on their houses. And it's very efficient to have solar power when we have this cool climate because they are, the silica is chilled, and that gives more efficiency. And then also we would help, the distribution of power, which will be a problem in Sweden when everything goes electric, including cars. So shouldn't the government pay much more for solar power installations on houses, like in California or Switzerland or Germany, for instance? How do you have an opinion on that, Per?
Yes, I do have an opinion, and this is politics. Now we're leaving the realm of energy. I personally, I love solar power. I have been, my bostadsrättsförening, my housing co-op, something. I have been telling them that we should start building, and they have actually 3 times they have accepted that we should build the power, the solar power system, but we have still not got started because Vattenfall is stopping us. But when you say that poor people cannot afford, I'm one of them. Poor people cannot afford a lot of people. They cannot afford a lot of things. But how do we use the taxpayers' money best? I would not say that solar photovoltaic is expensive. I mean, if I make the investment, I know I will have a payback. Okay, if I don't have the money, I have to go to the bank and borrow the money, but I will still have my money back. It's a very difficult situation. It's a difficult question to say how much support should the government spend on solar photovoltaic. They went from 30% down to 20%. I was in favor of that. If they go down to 15%, I'm still in favor of that. I think that the subsidy should be as low as possible. You don't want to waste any of the taxpayers' money. You want the construction to keep going. You don't want to kill the market. You want the solar photovoltaics to keep building, to keep adding new solar power to the system. But you want to do it at the best possible price from the taxpayers' money. So I would say 15% or 10% support would be good.
Yeah, they have now decided this morning. It was news that they decided that Root and Root, they will pull off 15% subsidies on both the work and the material for solar power installations from January now on, and even for battery storage. They will pay 50% of the installation and the material.
50?
50. And
good.
also for power, like a charging station for electric vehicles, they will pay 50%, 50%. So it's a good, I think it's a good development, but still, I mean, it costs like 100,000 or more to install solar panels, and that would really help the electric system. So I think we could have more subsidies, up to 50% for solar power.
Now I have a much better answer. In this situation where I personally, I don't have the money to build my own solar photovoltaic system. I don't have the money to build my own energy storage with a smart energy storage with the batteries in my basement. Then I should go into a cooperative. If you go to etc., or if you go to the Swedish Sveriges Vindkraftskooperativ, I was on the board of Sveriges Vindkraftkooperativ for many years, and we have now built our first solar power farm. So if you have less money than the rich, you can join a cooperative. So working together, which is cooperation, working together in a cooperative, that's a smart way of building more solar and more wind, and also battery storage.
Thanks a lot. I will talk to my bostads, my byalaget. That's